Hello, all, Xyceres here, bringing you another base tour for my most recent master base. This time it is a normal small base called Oley. In this case, it was a 9000 genmat base. It has 97 raid attempts for with 234 raiders killed for a kill ratio of about 2.4. There's 135 accolades and they're split 60 fun, 18 brutal, 22 ingenious, 35 artistic. That means an accolade ratio of about 1.4 accolades per raid, and it is mostly fun and artistic. Though mostly fun. Fun is nearly half of the total accolades. So let's just jump straight into the gameplay. As you can see, that was quite quick. It's kind of hard to be slow when you're rushing through a normal size base like this one. Let's just quickly get a view of the outside. So as you can see, this is clearly a Dreadshaw plot. And I'm using a lot of this, whatever, I can't even remember what this is called off the top of my head. It's Lighthouse Brick Block. And I've got some like red metal around as well. And this is the lighthouse coloring that's putting the white tips on the bits of the metal blocks that I want to be white. So that's what we're doing for the outside. It's mostly just about color contrasts. Makes it look a little bit nicer, particularly on the preview, which looks, something like this normally. And the main thing here is just how I've built the base. So down here, I've just put like a little. I made it red so it stand out a little bit. Put a master decal on it, just to maybe indicate what it is. We've just got a tomb here, and there's nothing dangerous here. Literally, if you break it here, I just want the loot to fall in here so that you can easily grab it. I could probably block that in. Just didn't see the point. Why waste the capacity? Don't need to. People can grab it as easily over there. No problem. And this, you'll notice, is fairly similar to what I did on one of my older maps. It's one of the last maps I did on the Sector Zero patches. This is just like a little bridge, and using all ramp blocks, I've got the lighthouse ramp blocks and the red ramp blocks to create like a railing for the path that I'm taking. It goes up a little bit just so it blocks you off a little bit, so you can't really see what's going on. As you come over here, you normally don't see the ravagers to about here, unless you jump. If you jump, both ravagers aggro, and if you happen to come off on one side or the other, they both have blood loss. Also, down here, there is an enforcer, so if you don't jump, once you get to about here-ish, which is roughly when they should see you, just in the off case that they don't, somehow you manage to, I don't know, hug one of the walls and not get seen by it, the enforcer will see you, which will trigger the bloodlust on the ravagers on the walls, and they only have access to this hand railing, so they will run up and down. They have gotten most of the kills. Like, if we look around, all these kills, anything out the front here, it's pretty much all just these ravagers. And once we get actually inside, there's still quite a few, but like, this is a lot for effectively 2 guards with a couple mods on them. As we enter, spot shop up here, just in case someone's trying to rush through and doesn't pay attention. Similar thing here, this one's got Hunter, and here this one's got Hunter and double down, because I'm thinking someone might pop in to shoot that, and then pop in to shoot the other one, and they might not see this at all, and it does hit roughly here. So you could probably hug here and pop in and not be seen by this, but no, people don't normally hug the walls. And you'll notice as we get to the bottom here, we start seeing this like muddy decal on the floor. Like this is the muddy ground at the bottom of the staircase, effectively. And it comes around here, it's still a little muddy here. I've got some pumps and some of these like generator looking lights. There's one behind the enforcer as well. This is all just I want this to look like this is like a power station type thing for the rest of the building. Like you're not really supposed to be entering this way. It's more of a maintenance entrance, but this is where you've come in. This here, this impaler. So, because there's quite a bit of distraction here between these, that's up there, that has Eagle Eye, so it triggers it back to here, and there's a bolt trap behind it as well, which I believe has Hunter on it. Let me double check that. Hunter Relentless, yep. This here has gotten a surprising number of kills as well. Like, bring up all again. Like, that's what, 10-ish? That's a lot of kills for an impaler. And these are all, pretty much anything that's above the impaler is the impaler. And I think it only really works because of the, yeah, once we're sucking around the corner, it's more the bomb injector, which we'll get to in a sec. Yeah. This here, I think it only really works because A, this is a blind corner. I've spoken about this a lot. Even if you jump up, it's still a blind corner. But you are distracted, you get distracted by this and this going off and the bolt shot behind it. So, and that's assuming that you've got somewhere safe to back up to. You will often go into somewhere where it's safe to go back to, and that's just how the impaler normally catches people. You'll notice that none of these traps are second wave, they're all first wave, and that's the enforcer is guarded by an impaler as well. The most annoying thing about this enforcer is that enforcers are right-handed, so it often hits this block. It is, I didn't invest too much into it. In fact, I don't think it has any mods. Yeah, didn't invest anything into it because it is just to trigger the Bloodlust on these two. It used to be a cannonback, but the cannonback was just blowing up more stuff in this room for the exact same reason that this is. It would just bounce off this block in front of it. And like I could move it forward, but then I think it needs short leash, and I don't think it's worth it. I already spoke about this. You've got the pumps around here, dirty ground. This here, decal, is so good at what it does because it's so, it kind of looks subtle on most blocks, but it just makes them look like there's dirt on them, and that makes sense when you're in a post-apocalypse. Anyway, here we've got another 2 traps. If you run forward, you should be safe, but bomb trap and bolt trap. Bolt trap's just to distract you as you come around this corner. Both of them fairly blind. This one is more obvious because you can see the difference in the 2 blocks here, whereas the roof one, you can kind of see what looks like a continuation of the roof. If you're paying close attention, you'll notice it and you might look up. But a lot of people trigger this. As you can see, because I left the skulls on, which I was not intending, but let's go back. Yeah, it's very rare that this gets the kill, which is why it's not modded at all. The bombs don't really need it, which is why it's not modded at all, but it's doing quite a lot of work, because it can reach to about back here. because the bombs that go this way will actually get thrown further this way than they would have otherwise, because of them landing on this slant here. There's a little bit of glass in here just to kind of like show the center what I'm building around. Just kind of show that there's just like a bit of a hole behind it. Nothing too big. This is a secret exit. I don't want you having to run through everything again, and we're relatively close to the end. So I thought I'd just put like a little secret exit here, and it looks perfectly reasonable as bedrock because of where it is. Once we get up here, we notice I start using these white tiles, white being one of the colors that I was already using. So I've got white, red, and this bluey color. It's not quite blue, maybe aqua. The rust makes it, the rusty pipe bit is more red, so it kind of still fits into the theme. And I just think that once you're out of the like pipe area, like this is the maintenance tunnel area, you're into the actual building proper. I wanted to make it look a little bit cleaner. And so that's part of how I did that. I also just there's a lot more lights up here. You notice the lights all along the roofs. Now, you'll notice a laser trap back here. This is here. This does achieves two things. One of which it's pretty good at. The other, it's kind of hit and miss. I didn't quite work it out. This is obviously my first attempt to actually use a laser in a level. Well, not the first attempt. I did have some shenanigans where they weren't able to destroy anything and just kind of like put a lot of them, but that's doesn't really work, honestly. Stuff like this I think is probably much more interesting and a much better use for the laser. So the lasers, I've locked down its line of sight to a fairly small area, so that limits how much control the raider has over its path. In this case, unless you destroy the laser, and if you destroy the laser, it doesn't matter where the laser is pointing. It's been destroyed. There are two possibilities that I can think of. You run forward, or you run backwards. Now, the backwards one doesn't work quite as well as I'd like it. Sometimes you can get it to trigger, but if the person like pops up to the like exact right spot and then ducks down at the exact right speed, they actually the laser hits like here and goes up and like bounces up and down in here, which is not what I'm intending. If you don't do that, what it actually does is bounces here, here, something like here, 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 and then goes like down this way. And it comes to about here. And you can actually hit people that hide in this section because of that, which is what I was intending. It doesn't always work, unfortunately, but it does its other job really well, so we'll get to that now. Now, you'll notice that when we go the other way, if the person was to run forward, they will break line of sight here. They will always do this. If they're not going to destroy this laser, and they're just running forward, they're always going to break their line of sight here. Even if you jump, it's just going to be up higher a little bit. And what that'll do, that'll bounce off this wall, the roof if you jumped, but otherwise it'll be that thing up there. But what this does is it creates a section of room, which is this bit here, that is dangerous. And you'll notice at the end here, I've put a block to stop it from destroying the incinerator. Now, because this is dangerous, hugging this wall is dangerous, you often move to the other side and the incinerator will get you. We've got some incinerator kills here, I think. No, impaler. That's incinerator, that's probably incinerator, that's incinerator, that's incinerator, that might be incinerator. No, that's a sentry beam. So you'll see, yeah, incinerator gets people on the left, sentry beam gets people on the right. And the impaler, because this is right around a blind corner, as I've spoken about a few times with impalers, but also it's just as you notice the incinerator. So if you haven't killed the sentry beam, or even if you have, you've just come around this corner, you've got a threat that you need to deal with, and you've got a threat here that you've just stepped into that is going to kill you if you're not reacting quick enough, and you've just been given more stuff to process. So, ideally, you would either keep going forward or step back. Now, with the way the incinerator stepped up, I think you only really keep going forward. You can only really keep going forward safely if you've already destroyed the laser, because then you're not under threat at this spot here at all. But if you haven't destroyed the laser, you get some unlucky situations like this person here, who did go forward and then got hit by the laser, which again will consistently hit along this wall, bounce off here and then head back. I think that's just Dragon's Flame if I remember right. Yeah, Dragon's Breath. Yeah, it only has Dragon's Breath because why not? And you'll notice I've put in some like glass so you can see out. It also would mean that if you were on the other side, you could spot where the genmat is from the outside. And I think that's it for Oley. If you're wondering about this pattern here, I was just placing down random ramp blocks to make like a spiky pattern, and I just didn't want it to be, I wanted it to be symmetrical on this axis, but not on any other. So that's why, you know, these ones come up higher, that one goes to the highest. These ones are fairly low, but there's more of them, and then there's like one back here that's low but has less. It's all just, yeah, randomly placed blocks to create like an interesting looking structure. And the white diagonal lighthouse, the red and white diagonal lighthouse block is just used to put the spikes on the end. It's the red. It's not perfect, like that's not a perfect color match, but it's close enough. Like when you're working with a limited set of tools, there's only so much you can do. And you'll notice that I've got more of this moss around on the ground because I do want to make this building look like it's old. And I think there's some salt as well. Yeah, the salt doesn't show quite as well on this, but if you're trying to make something look like it's old, the salt, the moss, and the dirt, all really good decals and really nice additions to the like toolkit for artistry. Anyway, that's it for Oley. I don't have any bases currently, so it might be a little bit. I don't have any more bases running currently, so it might be a little bit before the next base tour. Might just do some more Raider content, but I am planning on releasing a Sledge Blade guide on Saturday, so look forward to that. And otherwise, this will be on social until further notice. It'll be in the description if it's changed. And I shall see you next time.